For today's Thriller Thursday, I'm talking about Things in Jars, a Victorian-era thriller about a mysterious kidnapped girl with a deadly bite. So, stick around to learn more about it. Well, hey friends, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm talking about Things in Jars, written by Jess. This was actually January's Book of the Month Club selection, so I just got it. Actually, I don't even think it's out yet. It's going to be out in the next week or two, but you can pre-order it. So this is the second book by Jess that I've read, the first being The Hoarder, which was renamed in the United States to Mr. Flood's Last Resort, which I absolutely loved. So Things in Jars, this is a Victorian-era thriller that follows the red-haired, eccentric, pipe-smoking Britty Devine, who is referred to as female detective extraordinaire. You know what's funny is that I read her name in my head throughout the entire novel as Birdie. It was only after I finished it that I realized her name was Britty, probably after Bridget and not Birdie. So if I call her Birdie during this little chat, then bear with me. So Britty has been called in to solve the kidnapping of a little girl named Christabel Berwick, the secret daughter of Sir Edmund Berwick, who is a powerful and wealthy baronet. And yes, I did say secret daughter. Nobody supposedly knows about her, meaning that he must have had the little girl locked up in the house all these years. Smells mighty suspicious to me. In fact, he insisted that Britty not call the police because he does not want them involved. Moreover, Christabel is reputed to have some sort of supernatural powers, so she's captured the attention of all sorts of unsavories, especially criminal collectors of, shall we say, curiosities. So Britty's search begins. Now what's fun about this book is that Britty is assisted by her 7-foot-tall bearded lesbian parlor maid named Cora, who was a former circus giantess, and she's also accompanied by a ghost named Ruby Doyle, who was a champion boxer when he was alive, and he has living tattoos on his skin that move around to reflect his mood. And that is just a sample of some of the eclectic and imaginative characters in this story. So when Britty first encounters the ghost, she informed him that I don't believe in ghosts. And he said something to the effect of, and yet here we are, which kind of gave me a cackle at the time. So as Britty's search intensifies, she, along with Cora and Ruby, uncover a lot more than they'd bargained for, including mythological sea creatures. So in this way, the book incorporates superstition and Irish folklore into the story, adding extra intrigue to it. And I really love the fantastical elements of it. We also enter pretty deeply into the criminal underbelly of Victorian England, complete with nefarious types who are obsessed with collecting grotesque oddities, both living and dead, as well as those performing unethical medical research and medical practice, dodgy doctors, grave robbers, there's creatures of legends, sadists, murderers, and of course, things in jars. So the narrative is told from two different timelines, the present, during which Britty investigates the little girl's appearance, and Britty's childhood, through which we learn how she came to possess her current skills. And we meet all the people, both good and bad, who've had an effect on her life. So I really enjoyed her backstory and felt that it added an extra emotional impact to the story, especially once Britty encountered the ghosts from her past. There was always a sense of menace and eerie unrest, and as a shadowy feeling as the story does dip into some pretty dark and disturbing places. But though parts of the book were dark and sometimes even a tad brutal, a good majority of it was fun and playful, some parts even frivolous and silly, which got me chuckling on more than one occasion. In fact, one running joke throughout the story was Britty's ugly bonnet, which everybody had to comment on, saying such thing as, "My God, woman, where did you get such an ugly bonnet from?" So that was fun. And I also love the witty banter between Brittany and her ghost companion, Ruby. Now, it's worth mentioning that in a previous and recent kidnapping case, Brittany was too late. That by the time she found their child, the little boy was dead. So she's a little bit guilt-ridden and is determined that this is not going to happen this time around. Thus, there's a desperate race against the clock to find the girl before something terrible happens to her. This Dickensian book about dark and gritty, filth-filled London was both atmospheric and ethereal and provided an excellent sense of place. I love the detailed descriptions of Gothic London, which really came alive on the pages. The lyrical prose was also beautiful. Jess Kidd can really turn a phrase. I also thought the magical realism aspect of the story was extremely well done, mysterious, dark, creative, with a touch of humor. The author really crafted a memorable and unusual world here. But I especially adored Brittany's larger-than-life character, who goes from orphaned street urchin where she worked with a man named Gan as a resurrectionist. That is to say, they sold body parts from corpses. So she went from that to a medically trained Sherlockian detective. So Brittany, she's no-nonsense, tenacious, sassy, tough as nails, clever, observant, and nearly fearless. Hell, she even performs minor surgery when necessary. And her habit of cross-dressing and smoking questionable tobacco concoctions endeared her to me as well. The eccentric, unique, and colorful supporting cast of characters were also a delight, and the author describes their characteristics and motivations vividly, and in so doing really brings them to life on the page. They were so much fun to watch, even the nasty lowlifes, rakes, and rogues, all of whom had quite complex and intertwining relationships. Now, speaking of lowlifes, I love the depraved, predatory, and dastardly villains in the story. They were delightfully repulsive. There are really so many elements that come together in this bold story. There is folklore, Gothic historical fiction, magical realism, the paranormal, and a thrilling mystery to solve. Now, sensitive readers be warned, however, as there are some shocking and gory descriptions of murder scenes as well as those things in jars. But yeah, at the end of the day, I found this to be an imaginative and fantastical journey that I found utterly enthralling. And I hope we end up seeing Brittany and Cora again in future books. And I ended up giving this 5 stars. So did you like this video? If so, please click the like button below, as it really helps my channel out. And as always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And I will talk to you all in the next video. Roger and out.